So a little bit different of a video style today. I sent out an email to those of you guys who are on my email list, and then those of you guys who are subscribed to me on YouTube may have seen the post I put out in communities too, asking you guys to submit game film because I want to start a new series where I take some of the game film that's submitted to me and I break it down. I give you my thoughts to be able to correct some of your mistakes, be able to overall to see better results on the court. Something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and decided this week, hey, let's give it a go. So I got a lot of really cool submissions, but we're gonna break down the first one today, and this comes from Danny. Shout out to Romania, where Danny's from. And a couple things that I wanted to do with this is not only do I want to give you like some overall, like, hey, you missed that look, or hey, maybe you should have looked for that, or hey, maybe you should have taken that shot instead. I want to do those sort of like surface level things, but I also want to help you go from where you're at to where you want to get to. So with the film submission, I asked everybody to also answer a couple questions. By the way, if you want to submit your film for this, that'll be linked down below in the description. There'll be more on that towards the end of the video as well. As I went through this, I'm like, okay, well, I want to get your film and watch it, but I want to know who you are, where are you at right now, what are your struggles, what do you want to be, where do you want to get to, so that I can hopefully tailor the film breakdown to helping you get to that point here. So here's a couple of Danny's answers here. What's your biggest challenge during games? He said, right now I'm struggling with the pressure and the feeling I get during games, actual games, which often makes me rush, make worse decisions, and miss some opportunities to score or pass. Since the beginning of the season, it's also been affecting my shooting. In practice, I shoot really well, and even during warm-ups before the game, everything feels great. But once the game starts, as you can see, my shots just don't go in. It feels like I have a completely different shot and a different feeling. I often train in game-like conditions with a fast pace and good defense, and I still make my shots in practice. But in games, like I said, it just feels different. So that's his biggest struggle right now, the biggest disconnect from practice to games. And then my next question was, what's your main goal right now as a player? And he says, I want to be able to score more in real game situations, three-pointers, floaters, runners, layups, to transform any drive or opportunity to score in something. I also want to be able to make some moves in games to be more shifty and not so tense in games. Practically, I want to be the player I am in practice. I want to be the player I see myself as, three-level scorer and playmaker. I know I'm a good player, but in games, I don't show my real value and I don't play the level I know I can. So this is one of the biggest problems that I hear from players is they play a certain way in practice or in workouts. They know they're capable of doing that. Then they get into the game and it's just different. Like they're like a shell of themselves and they can't perform at that same level. And it's really frustrating to be stuck there. So I've actually already gone through this game and I took some notes on it. So I kind of want to talk about my overall take here. Hopefully some stuff that's going to help Danny to be able to translate his practice into games better and overall just change the way that he even views what he does in games and what his role is. I think that's a really important thing as well. So we're going to break down one of Danny's games right here. Now, Danny is a point guard. This is him with the ball in his hands on the white team. I believe he's number 5. And like I said, there's some key moments I want to talk about here, but I also want to give like kind of an overarching theme here that I think is really important for Danny to understand if he wants to maximize his success. So coming down, this kind of the first thing I noted was just this ball screen situation where it kind of looks like he's playing under it, but they end up actually switching this screen. And I just talked about this the other day in a breakdown that I did on Marcelo Huertas, where I was talking about what it looks like to be a true high IQ point guard. And one thing that Marcelo is really good at is recognizing when to flip this ball screen. So we can flip a ball screen. All that means is that this big right here is literally just going to turn and set a screen facing the other way. And then Danny can just turn and go towards his right now. We do this when the defender goes under. That's one example when we can do it. We can also do it when they switch a screen like this, because look how far out of position 44 is going to be if they do flip the screen. So they're switching it, but look where 44 is. If you flip and come back off the screen towards your right, he's going to be responsible for switching back onto you, but he's going to get caught. I mean, you're going to get downhill. Someone's going to collapse. You probably have a kick out. Great way to be able to create a shot for somebody else. So small situation right there, but that was kind of the first thing that I noticed when I was watching just this ball screen situation. So this team that they were playing sat in a zone for like the majority of the first half until Danny's team really started just like beating the brakes off them, and then they had to go to man. But started off in this 2-3 zone, and I think one thing that Danny did a really good job of was being aggressive and hunting gaps to attack. When you're playing against a zone defense, the two things that you want to do, especially if you're a perimeter player, obviously a point guard would fall in that mix. The two things that you want to do are, number one, look to enter the ball to the high post or to the short corner. If you can get the ball inside to one of your bigs or whoever is running the inside of your zone, that's a great way to make them collapse. And zones generally are going to not be very good if they let the ball get inside. So that's the first thing you're looking for, is to pass the ball in there. But the second piece of it is looking to be able to split and attack gaps. So if you're going as a 2-3, which is this is all this is an extended 2-3, we've got a gap in the middle. We have a gap between this high guy and the wing guy. So on the wing, and then a gap on the other wing. And if you're a perimeter player, you want to look to attack those gaps and get to the paint as much as you possibly can. If you do those two things well, passing the ball inside and attacking gaps, you're going to be able to play well against zone defenses in general. So Danny comes down, moves the basketball, and then we see just swing and then a skip right over to him here for the first three-pointer that he took of the day right there. Now he missed this one, but this is like one of my big points is Danny's frustrated with his lack of performance in games, specifically when it comes to making shots. Like, man, I'm making shots in practice, making shots in workouts, but I get in games and they're different. And watching this game, I watched a little bit of another game for him as well. The thing to understand is that a lot of times players overthink misses when there's not a big enough sample size. Like he probably took 3 or 4 threes in this game and he missed them. Now he did a lot of other great things, which we'll talk about, but he missed his outside shots. You only take 3 or 4. Do you know how many times in Steph Curry's career he's probably missed 4 threes in a row? Probably probably over 100 times. If I'll have to check and see if I can find a stat on that later, but probably a ton of times. So you could miss 4 threes in a game, and that doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It just means that you happen to miss 4. Your sample size isn't big enough. Now, if you're shooting 10, 12 threes in a game, missing all of them, I understand that, but 4 threes missed in a game, not the end of the world. There's nothing wrong with this shot. It's wide open. You got to take it. And I think the other piece to understand with this, for any players who may struggle with their confidence, especially when it comes to whether they're making or missing shots, by Danny taking this shot, make it or miss it, doesn't really matter. The entire defense now knows that he is willing to take this shot. And he shot it confidently. So in their mind, they're thinking, well, even if he misses it, he shot it confidently. So he probably could shoot. Now what you're going to see the rest of this game is that Danny's able to get downhill because the defense has to close out. They have to respect. They have to rotate hard over. So that's why you need to take these open shots, make them or miss them. And the funny thing is when you understand it that way, when you say, hey, by me taking this shot, even if I miss it, it's a net positive for me and my team. It actually is going to make the game easier for your teammates because now defenses are going to close out hard to you. You're going to have closeouts to attack. Their defenders are going to sink in. Now you're going to create open kickouts to your teammates for open shots or drives for them to go at as well, right? So you take a great shot and miss it, like there's nothing to be upset about. It is what it is. And like I said, even if you miss it, there's benefits to it. And we even kind of see it here. This ball gets skipped back over to Danny, and now they know he just shot one from right here. He didn't make it. They don't care. You shot it confidently. They're going to close out. That allows him to just quick jab, gets the zone defender out of that passing lane, and boom, opens up wide open pass for his teammate. Like the thing is, Danny's not going to get credit for that, right? Like no one who's watching that game is saying, oh, wow, Danny just set that up with the shot he took and then just his willingness to like be aggressive and use that jab step to take advantage of the defender who respects his shot now. But that doesn't happen without those two things, right? There's a domino effect, a butterfly effect, I guess is the better term for everything that you're going to do. So here's what I was just talking about when it comes to attacking gaps here. Danny comes down the floor, moves that ball to the wing, defense shifts. Ball goes back to him, and now we're thinking, can I attack this gap here? Because look at the good things that happen when you do that. He's able to like split that gap there really nice. And then he sees, okay, I got nothing here. And I think that's really my favorite part of Danny's game is the fact that like a lot of players will miss a shot early or they won't score a lot of points early. So they decide instead of kicking this ball out, they're going to take this shot, which is not an impossible shot to make, but it's a difficult one. And end of the day, it's only worth 2 points. You're taking a difficult, likely contested pull-up 2 as opposed to a kick out where can we create an open 3 that's worth more? Can we create another drive for a more open pull-up or for an open layup even? So Dan does a great job of passing up that to kick the ball out, and then he gets downhill against that closeout, gets fouled on the jump shot, shoots 2 free throws for it. So again, great things happen when you attack that zone and when you're willing to pass up a shot you could take to get somebody else an opportunity with an advantage like a closeout to attack. So Danny's team does a really good job of just moving the basketball here. And again, we see Danny hunt that opportunity to attack that gap. I think if you're watching and you're looking and you're thinking, okay, well, when are the best times to actually attack those gaps? We want to look at, especially Danny being up top, when these top 2 guys get really stretched out, which is what's happening with this defense, like, I'm not quite sure, like, they're expecting these guys to move a ton, so I'm not really sure why they're playing defense like that, but this guy is responsible for this pass and the next one, so he's gotta widen out so much. Ball gets moved. Now look at how wide these guys are. 44 is tired. He's been running around, and this other top guy went all the way over to the wing there. Now Danny's got to be on high alert. Next time I touch the ball here, I'm going to have a ton of space to attack a gap here. That's exactly what he does. Gets downhill, and this one, much better look than the one he passed up last time, as he should have. This one is open, took it, and again, like, you can't be upset with that. Danny, I think it's the only mid-range jumper he took in this game, and he missed it. Right? So it's not the end of the world because you miss one shot, and you can't really even judge it at all. This is a great shot. Everything about this possession is great. Ball moved until there was a gap to attack, got a paint touch, wide open too. Like, it is what it is. But everything about this is good offense, and it's going to lead to good things more often than not. So looking at the rebound from this shot, this is probably a critique that I would have in this situation. Yeah, this is probably an open 3 to take, but obviously we look, he catches it like a step inside the line. Like that, there isn't a worse shot you could take, right? So that's one where if you end up catching it, your feet aren't quite set, then make the extra pass here to your teammate, and he's probably got a more open shot than you do. This is one of those probably like frustration ones, or ones where it's like you're still kind of thinking about the one that you just took and missed and felt like you probably should have made. This shot is infinitely better if you're a step farther back. If you're not, though, this is where forget about this shot here, extra pass to your teammate, and he's going to have a wide open, easy catch and shoot 3. So like I said, when I'm doing this breakdown, I don't want it to just be the surface level things like we just talked about with, okay, well, maybe don't take that shot, pass it up for that one instead. Like, I don't want it to just be that. I want to talk about just like Danny's overall relationship with the game of basketball and his role specifically. So Danny, like I mentioned, is the point guard. And there are different types of point guards, obviously. When I watch Danny play, Danny is so good at getting paint touches. And as a point guard, there's like maybe not a more valuable skill in the game than your ability to get to the paint. So Danny's frustrated with his lack of offense or his lack of scoring specifically, right? But when I look at this game, especially with how good they were in the first half in this game, a lot of it had to do with the fact that Danny just consistently is able to get himself downhill and get to the paint and draw in help defenders and create open looks for his teammates. Gets the ball here, attacks a gap, like we just talked about, gets himself to the paint. Now look at this. We talk about creating advantages on offense. Typically in a ball screen, for example, if you come off and you can get the screener's defender to also worry about you, so now you have 2 defenders guarding you, that's great. What Danny just did right here when he attacked this gap is he literally has 5 players who are staring at him. Like, there is no better advantage you can create than making 5 guys guard you. Look what that creates for everybody else here. These 2 guys on the wing are wide open and are either going to have an open shot or a super long closeout to attack, which is going to get them another paint touch for sure. So Danny drives, draws in all of these players, takes his pick, kicks the top of the key. That guy attacks a gap, and you get a good look. You get a good look a little bit outside of the half circle there, of the restricted area right there. That is, again, another thing that when people watch the game or when people look at the box score, this doesn't show up for Danny. But this is like Danny's superpower, is how great he can do this. So when I think of it, I'm like, Danny, can you be the best in your league, the best in the world at getting paint touches and creating for your teammates, knowing that that is what is going to make you valuable? Because that's a skill that not everybody has. Not everybody can get downhill. Not everybody thinks the game well enough to be able to get downhill and, like you've done, make that decision. Do I shoot this? Do I pass it? And make the right decision consistently. You've shown that you can do that, right? So be great at getting paint touches and recognize that value isn't just about the points that you score. It's also about you being elite in your role, which that's what this is. So this right here is just great use of this ball screen. What I tell to my players is, like, you want to reject the ball screen as often as you possibly can. Reason being, when you reject a ball screen here, like if he were to use this ball screen, he'd be coming off to his left towards the middle. Look at all those defenders towards the middle, towards the top of the key where he'd be going. Look at all the defenders on the right side here. There's nobody, because screen's coming from this side. So the drop defender or the screener's defender is going to be on that side too. If your defender overplays it and anticipates you going middle and you reject it, you all of a sudden have nobody here. So you're either getting downhill or, more than likely, someone's going to have to sprint and rotate over and cut you off. And again, you just made 2, maybe even 3 guard 1, and now you created something for your teammate here. So we see that right in this situation. He rejects it, and look at all this confusion. Like this dude right here, I'm not sure that he knew throughout the entire possession who he was supposed to be guarding. 77 here. Like he's just kind of going, but he has to go help. Like he has to. Now look at this. His teammate rolls and number 12 up top, this is the most open 3 he's ever going to shoot. And it was simply because Danny made that decision to reject early when he sees that we call it empty, right? So how I would refer to this situation is we have an empty side, empty corner. I know if I can reject it, I've got to do it because it's going to force help defense to come. And again, this is what it creates. So again, I think about, and I'm watching Danny's team. There's no one else who's creating things like this the way that Danny is. So like, dude, like, how can you take this to another level? How can you be elite and really take pride in the fact that this is what you're great at? And this can help your team win games, which it did in this one. So here we've got baseline out of bounds. Again, another paint touch here, another one. And now we've got another closeout to go at for this guy. And this possession kind of like stalls out. The defense did a good enough job at recovering here and forced like a kind of out of rhythm 3. But again, you create that and it doesn't show up on a stat book. No one's patting you in the back for it, but I'll pat you in the back for it because it's great point guard play. It's what you want in a point guard. Guy who can consistently get downhill, get paint touches is fantastic. So this right here is great use of the ball screen hitting what we would call the shake. When you're coming off a ball screen, you're essentially thinking like 3 things. You have pretty much like 3 main options. Number 1 is, can I score? So can I get downhill and get to the rim? Am I in range where I could take like an open 3 if they go under it? Number 1. Number 2, is my roll open or is my pop open? Okay, if I can hit the screener, then I'll do that. Option 3 is we're reading what we call a tag defender. So same side corner, this offensive player is considered the shake, number 10 right here. And his defender is what's called the tag defender. So we're looking to see for the roller to be open, the tag needs to not, like he needs to stay with this guy in the corner. If he tags though, which is what he does, then that means it's going to open up an opportunity for us to hit the shake guy, which is what Danny does here. Now, what I would have liked to have seen from him is that he's going to actually move up a little bit to give Danny a better angle. He doesn't pass from quite as far. The other thing about that, if you're ever in this situation as this shake player, a lot of times this defender, the tag 24, is able to play the passing lane pretty well if you don't move. So we want this guy to generally lift up right here, but Danny makes the right decision of kicking that ball out to this guy, and he's able to get himself to the rim for a good look. And again, when you can get layups, good things are going to happen to you. This is a missed layup, but they're still going to get the ball baseline out of bounds because of what Danny created, getting another paint touch and making the right decision in that ball screen. So here we have them coming up the floor, and they kind of put Danny in a tough spot here where he's almost getting trapped on the right at half court. He's able to get out of this and get himself downhill, gets himself fouled. Now here's the big thing, right? And again, I'm trying to make I want a complete like mindset shift here. You almost have to take a ton of pressure and care off of how much you're worried about making those perimeter shots. Obviously, you want to make every shot that you take, but for you, when you can think to yourself, hey, the most important thing I can do is get paint touches. If all I do is, let's say on a typical game, if I get 15 paint touches, if I can get 20, that's a great game for me. And I'm not even worried about the points that I scored or the amount of threes that I made. Like that doesn't matter to me because I know that I was elite in this area that is not only going to get me opportunities at the rim like we saw right here, but it's also going to lead to opportunities for my teammates, which we've seen plenty of times on kickouts or whatever it may be. When you can think that way, when you know this is what I'm elite at and I'm going to go be great at that, everything else is just a bonus. You making 2, 3, 4 threes in the game on top of it means that you're now the best player in the court. And if you don't make those shots, you're still elite in your role and you still make your team better. And even in a game where you don't shoot the ball very well, like you didn't in this one, your team won by a ton. And a lot of it had to do with the fact you consistently got downhill and created for your teammates, but also for yourself in this situation right here. So again, just that mindset shift of understanding what your true value actually is and letting that build the confidence to overcome struggles or missed shots. So this is the last clip I had because they ended up like kind of blowing this game open and just like smacking this team. So Danny didn't play a ton in the second half here, but we see another just great drive. I love this little slow between the legs here to catch this guy off guard, get yourself going downhill. Again, another paint touch. And okay, this is probably one where, like, you take this layup, whatever. What I would say is it depending on who this guy is in the corner, may be a better decision to kick that ball out if this one's gonna be contested. Regardless of this is a makeable layup that you happen to miss. But again, I look at it and I say, sample size is too small to be, like, worried about it. You just gotta do that more. Like, you take 3 of those, you're not gonna miss all 3 of them. When you take 1 of them in a game, it can trick you into thinking that, "Oh, I'm doing something wrong. Oh, I'm not good enough yet. Oh, I don't play well in games." In reality, you just haven't done it well enough or you're not framing it the right way. And even still, get a rebound and a bucket may as well be your assist in the scorebook right there because you're able to get downhill here. So again, we wanna think of the game from like a deeper than surface level sort of perspective as opposed to just, well, am I scoring? Am I making shots? All the other things that you do a lot of times lead to the true value you bring to your team, which can't be overlooked in this situation. So I have 3 big takeaways for Danny based on this game film. Number 1 is be you. I think a lot of times players get caught up in comparison and trying to be like this player or, "Oh, that guy's shooting better than me, so he's better than me," or "That guy does this, so I wanna do the same thing." In reality, we all have different strengths, different weaknesses, different play styles, different things that come natural to us, different ways that we can impact the game. And when you recognize the 1 or 2 things that you do really, really well, the best thing you can do is go all in on that. Well, I'm gonna be known as the player who's elite in this area. Now, I'm not saying don't work on your other skills or don't worry about making shots. That stuff matters, of course. But what I am saying is put a lot of pride in that. And especially for you, being like maybe the most important part of being a point guard is getting those paint touches. Double down on it. Make that like what you pride yourself on. Hey, I went 0 for 5 today from 3, but I got 24 paint touches, and that led to my team scoring an extra 32 points based on just what that led to in those possessions. That leads to number 2, reframe what success means for you. Taking it from like the outcome of, man, I was 1 for 7 from 3 today. Like, why can't I make a shot? Or I can't believe I missed those 2 open layups. Like I can't finish well. Go from that being your like what your mark is for success to the process. So again, can I get blank amount of paint touches? And if I know that if I do that enough, it's going to lead to positive things for my team. I'm just going to put my team in the best position to win. Ultimately, the game is all about winning. And if you as a player want to, whatever your goal is, if you can focus on contributing to winning at a high level, meaning I show up to a team and the things that I do help that team win games, the entire world is open to you. Now, if you don't help a team win, if you don't contribute to winning, then it doesn't matter how good you are, you're never going to make it anywhere, right? You're never going to have that success. And for you, you have a skill that definitely helps teams win. So reframe your success to focusing on that. And then number 3 is don't let a small sample size fool you, right? Again, I watched that game. You took a handful of threes, couple layups, and you missed. But again, too small of a sample size to really say like, oh man, I was off today. Well, no, you didn't take that many shots, and that's okay. It is what it is. But don't let that kind of like get in the way of everything else for you. Again, if that is like priority number 3 for you behind focusing on those process goals instead, then not only are you going to play a lot better, but you're going to enjoy playing basketball a lot more because you know, hey, I know my strength and I can go do that thing, and I know that it's going to help my team win. And it's going to take a lot of pressure off of you when you're not focused so much about things that you don't control, like the makes and misses and all that sort of stuff right there. Now, I've always had players reach out asking if I could break down film, so I decided that I'm going to start doing it. I love breaking down film. I think it's probably of the things when it comes to basketball that I'm best at, it's probably breaking down film. Because I spent so much time doing it. So if you're interested, this will be linked down below. But there are 2 options for you. Number 1 is just a up to a 5-game breakdown. So you send me 5 of your games, and I'll create an in-depth breakdown on it. I'll give you like a custom blueprint where it'll give you step by step. Hey, here are the things that you should be doing in order to maximize in games. Really helping you to understand what are you missing, right? You have a view of the game of basketball. Everybody sees the game a little bit differently. You are limited by what you can and cannot see. Meaning you may have the skills to be at 14 points per game, but because you don't see it, because you don't know what you're looking for, what you're missing, you might be stuck at 8 points per game. You have the view of someone who scores 8 points per game. And if you want to get to a point where you have the view of someone who can score 15, score 20, then a lot of times you need someone else to help you see the things that you're probably missing. Otherwise, you're just kind of bang your head against the door over and over and over again, hoping that it opens up, but it's locked, right? So that's kind of the way that I view this here. And I also have a second tier where it's a full season mentorship. So if you want someone who's going to watch every single one of your games, give you feedback for every game throughout the seasons to make sure that you're doing the right things, you're focusing on the right things. Again, you're not missing things. You could be having a lot more success, yet you're not seeing it. There's also an option to do that. You can choose either tier depending on what exactly it is you want to do. And the reason why I chose 5 games as the tier one, and obviously the full season would be like preseason through playoffs, so a lot more than 5 games. But the reason why is because when you only watch one game, a lot of times you can't really spot patterns or true limitations. You just don't see enough. You might have a great game and you play terrible the next 5, but if you watch that great game, that you think that this player is one thing, but they're actually not. So when I'm watching like 5 games of somebody, you know what someone is when you watch 5 of their games, right? You know what it is. So that's why I wanted to do that. A lot of times when people break down film, it's like one game or part of a game, and that doesn't tell the whole story. My goal with this is that I know your game better than you do, and that I'm able to see things that you probably haven't seen, and that's where you truly see a transformation on the court in terms of the way you see the game, and then that leads to the results. Again, going from someone who's limited, who has the view of someone who's at 6 or 8 points per game, how can you get to a point where you have the mindset, you have the view, you know the game like someone who can score 15, 20 points? A lot of times it's not a skill thing, it's an understanding, it's a perception, it's a vision thing, and that's the goal of all this. So if you're interested in that, check it out. That's going to be linked in the description down below. I appreciate you for watching. Drop a comment if you got anything from this. We'll talk soon. Peace.